happen down the line in the future, but we'll never look at him the same after that destruction. Not to say that we won't respect him, but we'll never look at him the same.
Stephen A. Smith has criticized Gervonta "Tank" Davis over allegations of a rigged fight, calling out the controversy surrounding the bout. He questioned.
Now everybody know Tank, kind of like you say, they love him too.
It's a dirty game.
The fairness of the judges and suggested that Davis should prove himself in a rematch against Lamont Roach. Coach Bernie also weighed in on the fight, saying
it's a dirty game. You got biased people, unfair people.
That Davis did not defend his title the way a true champion should. He noted that Roach fought with greater urgency and determination, while Davis appeared content just to survive the rounds.
Notice that
Bernie
Lamont Roach
emphasized
fought
that
with
a
much
fighter
more
of
urgency
Davis's caliber
and
debate the top fighter in the world pound for pound. We can do that. What we cannot do is debate who's the most exciting fighter, who's the biggest box office attraction in boxing. That would happen to be Gervonta Davis. We just got to accept it. I think that Frank Martin is a talented fighter. He'll make some things happen down the line in the future, but we'll never look at him the same after that destruction. Not to say that we won't respect him, but we'll never look at him the same because he got destroyed by Gervonta Davis. And that's no shame, that's no slouch, but damn, still in all, if you get destroyed, you get destroyed. Gervonta Davis is the #1 box office attraction. Who I want to see him against next is Shakur Stevenson. I don't want to see him against Devin Haney because Devin Haney has proven to me that he's not a good punch taker. I want to see Gervonta Davis in the ring with somebody perceived as having enough power to put him on the canvas too. That
should have made a stronger statement in the ring instead of leaving fans uncertain about the outcome. Joe Rogan openly criticized how the rules were applied in the Davis versus Roach fight, arguing that they seemed to be written by lawyers rather than boxing officials, implying they were tailored to favor Davis. Rogan also praised Roach's boxing skills, expressing his admiration for his performance. He suggested that if the knockdown had been counted, Roach would have won the fight. The fight's outcome.
He's a champion. He got to defend his title. He got to defend his title. He like I said, they both was looking at each other. And then finally, after look, Tank will be the one to throw the first punch. He felt like he wanted to retain his title. Lamont Roach felt like he was just happy to be there and get the success. He wasn't trying to take the title. He wasn't trying to take the title. And I'm saying that even from the last round, just even the last round, the final 20, 30 seconds of the last round, he wasn't throwing no punches. He looked at him and got caught with a jab. You can't close the show with a guy like that, with a guy like Tank Davis like that. Now, if he'd have had a knockdown or something, like a real knockdown or something, maybe he feeling, but you can't stop until the bell ends. You can't, even if you're being active and slipping and sliding and something, he just standing there looking at him. I don't know. I didn't understand that. I don't understand why fighters sit there and look at each other for a long time. Change the angle. Keep a rhythm in your waist. Snap a jab. Do a feint. Ain't no need of you standing there looking at no man for 20 seconds in a fight. That don't make sense. But so I think, like I say, Lamont Roach, he will be kicking himself in the ass that he didn't do more, but grateful that he did enough.
Some sparked shock and disappointment among professional boxers and analysts, with some calling it one of the most controversial decisions in recent boxing history. Many believe the referees and judges failed to properly enforce the rules, damaging the sport's credibility. The debate continues over whether Davis deserved the draw or if Roach was unfairly robbed, with both fighters and fans voicing their frustration. Referee Steve Willis was asked about his decision.
Return strike has any other result, the match result stands. That's crazy. So you can get KO'd, you get finished, they give you 2 minutes to come back, and if you could knock that guy out, then it's a draw.
They also haven't used the rule yet.
So you go knockout for knockout.
Boy, that rule looks like it's written by lawyers, doesn't it? Doesn't that rule look written by lawyers? So find out what's happening, because I think they were going to announce something today about Lamont Roach, Gervonta Davis decision on the knockdown. It was a very good fight, though. Lamont Roach is very good. I was really impressed because Tank is nasty. Tank is so fucking powerful. He's so vicious. Like his his one-punch power at 135 is like nobody else is in the division. Like the way he starches people is crazy.
Exactly.
He gets so much torque and power into his punches, and he's so fast that he covers ground, and his uppercuts, they're just fucking devastating. So like for Lamont Roach, not just to survive, but
do some damage,
to do damage and
put him on the knee,
basically bring it to a draw, which if they do change this because of that knee, it becomes a victory. I think it should be a victory for him, and I think they should do a rematch.
100%.
Everybody saw it. You can't get around what everybody saw. Look, it wasn't a legit knockdown like he hurt Tank. Tank did have some shit in his eyes, but what are you doing putting shit in your hair when you have a world title fight? That's crazy.
And no one wanted
To rule the match a draw and not count the knee as a knockdown, but he refused to explain his reasoning, further fueling suspicions of favoritism. Fans and analysts are now questioning whether Davis received an unfair advantage throughout the fight. Sports analysts Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharp both reviewed the fight and agreed that Lamont Roach did enough to secure the win. While they acknowledged that Davis landed some powerful shots, they pointed out that
Gervonta Tank Davis says he took a knee because he got his hair done a few days ago and something dripped into his eye. Ryan Garcia said that Lamont Roach won that fight, and he continues with, not calling that knockdown is the most wild thing I've ever seen in boxing. That type of stuff makes boxing look bad. And then says, crazy shit, see y'all May 2nd. Terence Crawford said they robbed that boy and it's crazy. Roach won and that should have been called the knockdown, let's see what happens. Devin Haney says, I was waiting for the backflip. Even Turki Alashi has something to say about the fight. He said, if you charge people $80 per pay-per-view, you must give them a good card with good production. What are your thoughts? Then Terence Crawford continues with, some of y'all need to watch Mayweather versus Hernandez and see Mayweather takes a knee because he hurt his hand and it was called a knockdown, not from a punch either. He says, I've never seen someone take a knee and they don't count it as a knockdown. Must have forgot the rules for tonight. And Shakur Stevenson is willing to fight Lamont Roach. But in your honest thoughts, who do you think should have won this fight? Do you believe with the decision as a draw? Or do you think Lamont Roach should have won that fight?
Roach responded with equal, if not greater, force. They argued that Roach's resilience and ability to push Davis should have earned him the victory rather than a controversial draw. Boxing experts also scrutinized the moment when Davis took a knee, comparing it to previous instances in boxing history where similar situations were ruled.
What you was thinking when Tank did that when he took the knee? What you was thinking when he took the knee? I can't speak on it. Can't speak on that? Can't speak on it. He did some bullshit though? I can't speak on it. You have no personal opinion, nothing? Yeah.
Full official knockdowns. This comparison has led to further discussion on why the referee did not apply the same ruling in this case. Jack Rice, a respected referee, shared his opinion on the fight, explaining that while referees have discretion, they must apply the rules consistently. He emphasized that enforcing regulations on knockdowns, fouls, and unsportsmanlike conduct is a critical responsibility, and the handling of this fight may not have aligned with standard boxing practices. Another respected figure in boxing, Vanis, pointed out an unusual moment when Steve Willis initially began counting as Davis took a knee, but abruptly stopped.
Boom, that lands, and then two jabs after that. You see a jab on the eye. Tank Davis turns to the referee and kneels. Gentlemen, here in studio, fairly clear that knee touches, that's a knockdown. I don't know how else you can see it. And when people talk about the delay, well, there's a delay. We've seen much worse delay, especially on body shots. Someone takes a body shot, backs up, and in several seconds, then they take a knee. And people take knees for all sorts of reasons. Sometimes you're under assault and you need a break. Yeah. It's all a knockdown.
Jimmy, we've seen, if I think of fights in the past where voluntary knees have happened, you know, off of not one single moment or one single punch. You think of Mayweather against Carlos Famoso Hernandez, when he lands the punch and turns his back and takes a knee, he gets counted. You think of Miguel Cotto against Antonio Margarito, where, you know, it was under duress and he just took that knee. And of course, my compadre right here, Chris Algieri against Ruslan Provodnikov as well. It wasn't a particular shot. You feel something, you feel discomfort, you take a knee. All those times, there's a count, dude. I mean, and I'll tell you what, Steve Willis also knew there was a count because he started counting and then stopped.
Yeah, we'll get to it. There's more than one pillar of this defense for Lamont Roach Jr., but the first one's a knockdown, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, we have a ton of experts on the panel today. I'm going to speak from a fighter standpoint, just like you did, champ. And you can argue whether that right hand landed clean or if it landed hard or how hard those jabs were. It doesn't matter, champ. When you mentioned when I took that knee against Ruslan Pavanakov, I actually didn't get hit. I was still recovering from the last knockdown when my orbital was damaged. My eye was damaged. My vision was impaired. I gave ground so I would keep my opponent off me, and I still.
This inconsistency has raised further suspicions about the referee's actions and added to the controversy surrounding the fight's outcome. Boxing analyst Paulie Malignaggi shared his breakdown of the fight, stating that while the draw wasn't the worst decision, it certainly wasn't the right one. He firmly believed that if the knee had been ruled a knockdown, Lamont Roach would have won by a single point.
Just put out to you guys 3 rules of what a referee has to follow. First of all, the referee is the sole arbiter, the only person able to determine whether to stop a fight or not, and anything else that happens in a ring. The second is part of his ability to do things when fouls occur. If a boxer fouls or acts in an unsportsmanlike manner during the bout or in between rounds, the referee should admonish or disqualify the offending boxer, depending upon the severity of the offense. And number 3, talks about penalizing and points. While warnings are generally preferred, the severity of a foul can warrant the immediate point deduction without any prior warnings. So now, what gives a referee the ability to call what you guys are talking about as a knockdown? I don't know if you guys know, maybe you can tell me. If not, I'll surely tell you. Do you guys know what the description of a legal knockdown is?
Malignaggi compared this situation to Floyd Mayweather's fight against Carlos Hernandez, where Mayweather took a knee due to a hand injury and was given a standing count, further highlighting the inconsistency in how boxing rules were applied in this fight. Gervonta Tank Davis's trainer addressed the growing controversy, asserting that
particular shot, you feel something, you feel discomfort, you take a knee. All those times, there's a count, dude. And I'll tell you what, Steve Willis also knew there was a count because he started counting and then stopped.
Yeah, we'll get to it. There's more than one pillar of this defense for Lamont Roach Jr., but the first one's a knockdown, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, we have a ton of experts on the panel today. I'm going to speak from a fighter standpoint, just like you did, champ. And you can argue whether that right hand landed clean or if it landed hard or how hard those jabs were. It doesn't matter, champ. When you mentioned when I took that knee against Ruslan Pavanakov, I actually didn't get hit. I was still recovering from the last knockdown when my orbital was damaged. My eye was damaged. My vision was impaired. I gave ground so I would keep my opponent off me, and I still.
Davis did nothing wrong by taking the knee. He dismissed the idea that it should have been counted as a knockdown, claiming that Davis was still in control of the fight. However, many fans and analysts disagree, seeing the trainer's defense as an attempt to justify what they perceive as a controversial ruling. Boxing analyst Kevin Isle analyzed the 9th round incident, emphasizing its significance in determining the fight's outcome. He pointed out that in most boxing matches, a moment like
Do you think?
A very, very controversial fight this past Saturday. Gervonta Davis, Lamont Roach, draw, and the knee. But we'll start with just the fight. Who did you have winning? Because I've been seeing mixed reviews.
Well, listen, it was a good fight, man. You know what I mean? And what you call him came to fight. Lamont came to fight. They know each other. This is what I tell people. It wasn't gonna be no easy fight. You know what I mean? And I was telling everybody that. Now they understand what I was saying. Them guys knew each other. Plus, they probably used to spar each other. Matter of fact, they did.
that would have been ruled a knockdown. I'll acknowledge that the fight was calling the decision a robbery. Boxing analyst Benny W. also questioned the judge's decision, asking how the knee was overlooked when scoring the fight. Former unified lightweight champion George Kambosos Jr. voiced his concerns about how the referee handled the incident, stating that in professional boxing, a fighter cannot simply take a knee without it being ruled a knockdown. Kambosos believes the referee's failure to enforce this rule raises serious doubts about the fight's integrity.